it just opens up this like world of possibility.
You guys like laid out the blueprint. We were able to crack the ad code.
We're making money while we're sleeping. Oh my gosh, like what is happening right now?
But you're also helping people and making an impact on people.
Next month, you guys almost double it again.
We're able to hit like 70 something K.
Like $400,000.
We're talking about close to $1 million over a 30-day window.
Okay, so really quick, just some background on our two guests today for those of you who don't know. We have Tyler and Caught with us. They're both students in our 30-day course creator program that never knew each other when they enrolled, and they each started their own unique courses. Tyler started a course called Viral VFX, which teaches beginners how to use basic editing software to get cool, trendy effects in their videos. And then Caught, being a commercial actor in Hollywood, started a course that teaches beginners how to get into acting and land their first job. Both of their courses immediately started getting sales, but they became friends through the community that we have, and they actually decided to partner up and focus solely on scaling Tyler's Viral VFX course. It was a huge leap of faith, but the decision really paid off, and we're going to talk about that in today's podcast. I do not want to spoil any of the details. I just wanted you to have some background on who these people actually are. Now that we've got that out of the way though, let's dive into the podcast.
You heard the intro. They're absolutely crushing it right now. We're going to dive into that full story. And my first question for the two of you, Tyler, we'll start with you just because you're on the left-hand side of my screen here, but what attracted you to courses, digital products, all that stuff in the first place? Because something the audience doesn't know about the two of you is you kind of had, both of you have extremely cool jobs that I think the average person might be like, why do they want to sell digital products?
It's a good question. From like the beginning of time, I could remember seeing people making courses and stuff. And I always just thought that would be so cool. I wish that I could make my own course someday, but I never saw myself as somebody who could do it. I don't know, just something in me. Maybe it was just because I hadn't done anything like it before. I had zero knowledge of how to build a course, knew nothing about marketing. This is like August, September of 2023. So I soft kind of pre-launched my course and tried to like get it out there, but I didn't know what I was doing. I was going to launch it through a webinar and sell it that way. And somehow through that, with having zero confidence and all kinds of confusion, I came across 30-day course creator and was like, oh, this looks awesome. And I didn't buy it right away. It kind of like, maybe I needed some more touch points with you or something.
It needed to marinate for.
Yeah, it needed to marinate. And then like, that's when it started opening up. And then once I actually bought the course and got into it, just super, super valuable. Just learning so much information right off the bat. I can remember just thinking like, holy crap, like this is super valuable. And I want people to feel like this when they buy my course.
Wow. Oh, I appreciate that shout out this early in the podcast too. I love that.
Yeah. So I'll say there's a big difference between building a course and selling a course. And I think being able to market your offer is much more important than actually building the course. And that's like the whole idea of the pre-launch, right? Because going through 30-day course creator, I was able to pre-launch and have some success at some point through that. And it just blew my mind. Like, oh my gosh, I'm selling something that's not even built yet. So I think that's where like the big value comes in, is that you guys push the pre-launch, but then also there's so much valuable information that you just jam pack into it about the proper ways of marketing it and just getting set up on the right foot. And I know you guys tell us this too, like, don't build the product first. Like, don't spend all these hours when you don't even know if somebody's going to buy it.
Yeah, for sure. I know. Our course really is more of like a marketing and sales course than it is anything else. Like we touch on everything else, but the vast majority of our course, primarily because, I mean, I can't tell you how familiar I am with that story, is like, anyone can build a course. It takes skill and effort and unique knowledge to sell a course. It's not crazy hard to learn. Sometimes we just have to get out of our own way. So Caught, now let's go over to you. For people who don't know, Caught was an actor in Hollywood, and not just like maybe you'll see him in a commercial one day actor, but like on TV, like T-Mobile, Google, Samsung, like big commercials, but you were drawn to courses. So why is that?
Yeah, that's interesting. So I was in like the kind of the commercial space for a while, like advertising space, but I was on the other side of it, right? I was on the actor side. So I was the one auditioning. I was the one, where you get like a little piece of it. I wasn't ever getting like that sort of like that passive income that I wanted, right? Like making money in my sleep. I think like many other people, like that's what really attracted to me to it. I got to a certain point where I'm like, I kind of just want more in life, right? Like I was doing what I loved, like making great money in acting for actors, like especially as an actor, I was super lucky, but I wanted more, like for me, it was really big. Like I'd paint the picture of like, okay, what do I want my life to look like? And then how do I go backwards from there and figure out what to do? And I knew that I wanted location freedom. I knew I wanted something with like where I wasn't tied. My hours weren't tied to the income that I was making, right? Like I wanted that for my life. I wanted to be able to take weeks off and not have to stress, I wanted a business. But I didn't want to have like a store or anything like that. So I knew I wanted an online business. And I think for me, like, I remember there was a moment I had where I just got like really sort of dissatisfied. I was just like, I just want more. I just see more for myself. And so I went on YouTube, probably like a lot of people do. And I was like, how to make money online. I just like looked up that.
Oh no.
And like classic things happen. I mean, there was a point, I don't know if I ever told any of you guys.
I think I searched that at least once in my life.
We all look it up,
worry.
right? How to make money online. And of course, what do we see? There's like drop shipping, right? That's the first thing. And so I was like, ooh, maybe drop shipping is the way. So I started thinking about drop shipping. I was looking at all that stuff. And I remember I like brought it up to my sister one day. I was like, oh, like, look, there's like drop shipping. And, this is just like a funny lesson. If you ever tell any of your family members about your bright ideas to make more money, they're going to instantly shut it down. But I think it was important that she did that. She's like, drop shipping is stupid. No one succeeds, whatever, anything like that. So anyways, I was on that journey and then all of a sudden I start getting hit by ads, right? All these different ways to make money. And I got hit by y'all's ad and there was another person. I don't even know if they're still doing like teaching course creation, but that was something that came up. And there was something that really resonated with that for me, right? Like I knew I wanted the passive income. I wanted the location, time freedom, all that stuff, make money online. But I was like, I wasn't sure what the vehicle was. But when I saw y'all's stuff, like about making courses, it clicked for me. And I think the reason was because I knew I also just wanted to make an impact on people. Right? It's not just about making money. It's like, I want to help people. I want to make the world a better place. And like selling toothbrushes online, like, I don't know if that was, or like a teddy bear or like a soap dispenser. I'm like, is that really like going to be my way of like making impact? I can make a lot of money, but it's like, so that's what sort of like led me down like the online course. It's like, you get all those benefits, but you're also helping people and making an impact on people. And this really like hit home just the other day or just today. Me and Tyler were looking at like expanding our team. And so we like, we sent out this email to like ask our students like, hey, does anyone want to like join our team? And we got tons of responses of people who are like, oh my God, I'd love to be part of the team. And blah, blah, blah. And I was like reading through the responses and there were people like, dude, Tyler like inspired me, or like I felt connected to his story, and like I've never felt so much passion about visual effects, and like you guys, like I want to be part of the team to make an impact. And I was like, it really hit me. I'm like, dude, if I was selling toothbrushes online, we wouldn't have been making that impact. No one's gonna want to like join like something so awesome. And so that really hit home for me. I'm like, this is it. This is what I wanted to do. I think I saw that early on, and then I was like, okay, that's the path. So it's like you get all the benefits, but you get to help people too, which I think is truly what makes you happy.
I totally agree. And I always think, they'll show you those graphs of people getting into business where it's like motivation over time. And there's always that like spike at the beginning where it's like any business idea you can get motivated about on day one. But the people who are successful are the ones who can hold their motivation over time. And you have to find that business that can make you money and has that side of the, motivation, but also has that other side of impact, passion, teaching something that you love, having a business that, you're proud to wear a hat with your logo on it, and all those little small intangible things. Not that they're all small, but when the motivation does dip, once you actually start doing the thing, and it's like, oh crap, this is harder than I thought. That's what I think keeps the motivation, or it at least allows you to power through those lower motivation times. And then of course you get to your Black Fridays, where then you look back and you're like, oh, that was worth it. That was really, really good. Yeah. Now, so let's get back to your guys' journey. And I think for the main part of this call, now that you are both working on what was originally Tyler's course, I want to hear kind of that story of how the course launched. All right, you're in the early days, you're getting students, things are going well. You guys obviously meet each other by, being students at contentcreator.com and whatnot, but there's so much in there to unpack, right? That's the hardest part of the journey. So like, Tyler, what was you pre-launch? Talk us through what happens after that.
As far as the course, so I had done my pre-launch, and yeah, like you said, when those first 100 people bought your course, that was like when the game changed, right? For me, it was when I started running ads, and I got somebody that I had no idea who this person was bought my course. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like what is happening right now? And then another sale comes in, and it's like, we're talking about people around the world that are buying my stuff. They don't know me, and they're choosing to trust me. It took me a while. You kept saying, make more ads. And I was not making enough. I wasn't listening to you.
But hold on, you were crushing it though. Cause I think we skip over a bit, right? You've only been at this like 2 years at this point, which is crazy. Not even in that first year from mid 2023 to mid 2024, when you two team up, what did the business look like at that point? Cause you never gave yourself credit, but you were crushing it.
I agree.
In November of 2023. So that's when I really started selling my course. So a little bit over a year now. The first couple months, there was some up and downs, but I got it up to like a consistent 30K a month in revenue. I got it to a point where I was just like, I wasn't really breaking that. And then that's when, I think it was July, that's when I just finally heard Anthony, like, you just got to make more creatives. It finally was sinking in, like, hey, I'm just not making enough ads. Then I got 40K revenue, 40 something K in July, I think. And then mid-August is when me and Cot started working together, and we were able to hit like 70 something K.
What changed there?
Yeah, what changed was more creatives. Like, that is like when Cot came in, I really realized, like, holy crap, we just don't have enough ads. I think that was the big thing, but also being able to have one person really like focused on one thing and the other person focused. So not just juggling,
Yes. And so for people watching this call who maybe don't know that much about ads, first takeaway I would say you have here is these guys knew nothing about running ads. All right. And Tyler solo scaled his course to 40K per month by himself. And to kind of put into layman's terms, his issue, which again, it's not an issue, he's doing great, but a lot of people will create just one ad, right? And they'll launch that ad and they'll run it, and they can get sales with it. But it's like, I always use the analogy, it's like having one horse in a race. If you're watching a horse race and there's only one horse, you really don't know how fast or slow it's running because there's no other horse to compare it against. So you shoot another ad and you put that out there, and now they're running together, they're getting more sales, but you can start to see, oh, this one's doing twice as well as the other one. What about that ad made it better? Let's shoot more ads like that. And you just keep throwing more horses in the race to the point where all of them are running. Like, you're not shooting these every day to stay alive. You're just adding more activity to your account, and you're just hitting on all these different angles, all these different people with different desires, different concerns. And that's one of the ways that like you can just really scale up an ad account to the point where, again, these aren't people Tyler knows. He has a lot of followers on Instagram now because you get famous throughout the process of doing this. Those followers aren't people that are buying your course. Some of them are, but most of them are strangers on the internet hitting you from ads.
Yeah, just to add on to that, like 95% of sales are from ads.
Yeah, which is a cheat code. If you're running a course and you're afraid to run ads, or some influencer on the internet is saying like you can make money by being organic. I was actually just going to post this the other day, but I didn't want to do it on my public Instagram. But I was going to tell people, we didn't post on YouTube or Instagram once from November to today is the first time I did it. So it's like almost like 70 days, whatever it is. And we did over $2 million. And that's a business where like I took time off. I hung out with my family. I relaxed. Why is that possible? All possible because of ads. And if you avoid ads because they're the scary thing. I think is the biggest mistake you can make in your business, because then you get locked into a business where, you were trading your time for money before. Now you're making money passively from ads or from content, but you still need to post every day to make money. And I don't think that's where people should be at.
I was just going to say it's a completely different game, because organic, you have to be consistent. But with ads, once you kind of learn at least the fundamentals and you figure out what works, you can repurpose ads, when Caught came in, we kind of like broke that barrier, took it to the next level.
So Caught, why don't you just pick up from there? Like what were the first things that you did when you guys teamed up that you really felt had a huge impact? Obviously more ads, but like granular in there, what would you say?
That's a great question. For us, what really took us off was we found the ad. We found the ad that took off. And there was it was a few things. I think it was just tough because Tyler was wearing so many hats, and so it's hard to focus on so many things and do them all right. And Tyler is like, he loves his community. You love your community, so you put so much love and care into the community, and sometimes it takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of mental focus. So I think it just helped having someone else who came in. I was the new kid on the block, and I was just like, all right, how do we just get as many people into this thing and just sell this thing, right? So I was able to kind of look at ads from a slightly, I guess, fresh pair of eyes. Something that really helped us was just like, I was able sort of to maybe look more at like certain trends that were going on. So like, for instance, we had all of our ads before that Tyler made were all like square ads. And the first ad that we made that really took off was a vertical ad. Why? Because more people are used to seeing vertical content, right? They see it on their phone. They're flipping through TikTok and Instagram. It just feels less like an ad. And as soon as we did that, our first like vertical ad that we wrote to be vertical, and it took off, right? I mean, we were thousands of dollars every single day on that ad. And then, you were doing awesome, by the way. It was like $50K a month that Tyler was doing like on his own for the last 3 months. This was between like, I don't know, like May to like August. It was like $50K a month. And then we had a month together where we're sort of like figuring things out. We're fumbling around and stuff. But then October, we really hit our stride. We had that winning ad. And then we did like $400,000 in revenue that month. Crazy, right? It's like a 10x, if y'all
one
like
ad,
listen to the
baby,
books,
one ad.
if y'all listen to the books and you read the things, it's like the 10x jump. Like we literally made a 10x jump. We went from 50K revenue to 400K revenue. 3 months after that, we did the 3 months from October to December, end of the year, 1.5 million in revenue.
What was that like for you guys? Not to interject, but I feel like just like talk through that, even, I mean, 40K per month, 50K per month is insane, but like going from that to then, 400K in a single month, like what's going through your guys' heads at that point?
That's a good question. Tyler, what was going through your head?
Okay. So just going back on what he said a little bit, like when these things happen, like for instance, you always say like more creatives, but when you find that ad, like the ad, it just breaks limiting beliefs. And I think that that's so powerful when you get a new limiting belief, because we're trying to like break people's limiting beliefs to get them to buy our stuff, right? But we also have our own limiting beliefs that limit us to only be able to set our goals so high. So as we're like breaking these, we're setting these new bars. It's absolutely insane. That ad just took off, and it completely opened my mind to what the possibilities are. And then we had that that insane October, and we're both just like couldn't believe it. Like we did not expect that at all to happen. And I'd say that that's the big takeaway is now I don't even know if I'm sure I have limiting beliefs, but like the sky feels like it's the limit. And because you kind of like make that 10x jump. And I forget who says it, Grant Cardone or somebody, but they're like, if you know how to get that 10x, then you know how to do it 10 more times, because you just basically just repeat the process. And
it's life-changing. It's life-altering. Like throw the money out the window, but just like realizing the ceiling that you put on yourself in terms of what you think you're capable of, and then seeing it get shattered over the course of 30 days, which is why I love this business model, right? Like, there are ways to, you can go start an OnlyFans, and if you're good enough, you can make crazy money over a short period of time.
I never did. I never found success on OnlyFans. I like this way better.
Yeah, this is better. But I mean, it's just crazy how you guys were able to to do that. And then the next month you guys almost double it again, which is crazy.
Yeah. Black Friday. What was the numbers again? Tyler was like
Black Friday through Cyber Monday, 678K over a 30-day window. Like, just think about that. For me, I don't know. That's absolutely insane. We're talking about close to $1 million. And it's like when these things happen, you kind of see, because you see all these people on the internet, they're like, oh, I made this much. I'm doing this much per month. And you're like, what are these people talking about? Like, I'm used to getting paid hourly. And then you start reaching some of these things and you're like, oh, okay, there's literally like business strategies out there where this stuff is possible,
and helping people while you do it, right? Like,
and helping people and having fun too. Like we're literally having fun. Like when me and Ka meet every week, it's not a stressful meeting. Like we're having fun talking about what our plans are, what we're going to do next. And like, how can we just reach that next 10x the quickest, because it's possible.
I think what's also crazy is like, it's not really harder than other things. It's just different, right? It's like when I was like learning how to like, find jobs as an actor, it was the same thing. Like I just had to learn how to like kind of put myself out there and sort of how to like, follow certain steps. And so that's what I felt with this, right? It's like we were just sort of, you guys like laid out the blueprint and we're just like following the blueprint. I'm not saying it was all, roses and rainbows. There was some stuff that were like, you got to put a little elbow grease, right? There's a little bit of effort that needs to go in, but it's not really harder than anything else. I don't say it's like harder than any other thing. Is just slightly different. And I think that's what was so mind blowing to me. I'm like, I don't know if you felt this, Tyler. I'm like, we're putting in the hours, we're putting in the work, but it's like, I put this amount of work in other things in my life. They never paid off like this, I just needed to slightly shift the direction and just go towards the right direction. And then it's life changing. And it has been life changing. I mean, we could go into that. Like, yeah, just like little things. Like you told me, Tyler, you're like, hey man, there's a couple things I want to share both that you shared that I was like, just made me so happy. One is like, hey man, like I decided to like take my daughter and my wife to lunch on a Wednesday, just a random Wednesday. And he's like, I never do this because I never felt like I had the freedom or the time. And he's like, why not? And dude, that like literally like warmed my heart because I know that probably meant so much to your daughter. Like she's going to remember that forever. The fact that you're taking her out on a random Wednesday, like so amazing. And then you also meant, maybe you want to say about the backyard. I'm just stealing your stories. I'm sharing your, if you want to share that.
Well, no, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. You were mentioning like, you were able to like get the fence around your backyard finally. And it was this big expense that like was, finances. I get it. It's like finances are tough, right? And it's like, you have this like $5,000 expense and it's like, you keep pushing it off and off and off and it's tough. But like, with this new sort of freedom in our lives, you were able to put the fence around your house. So now your dog can go outside and your kids can go outside. And it was just like this huge weight off your shoulder. That's what I took from when you shared that. And for me, like this last Christmas, it's cool that I'm just sharing this stuff. I feel like this is...
I'm glad the camera's not close to my face because my eyes are like watering up. It's amazing.
Okay.
Keep going.
And for me, like the money's awesome, right? Not worrying about the money is amazing. But like for me, what was so awesome is like over this Christmas, I got to like spend the time with my brothers and we just went out to eat whenever we wanted. And I just paid for every single meal. I'm like, guys, let's have fun. I went balls to the wall with Christmas gifts, just buying things for people. I'm like, you get this thing and you wanted this. Here's an iPad. I brought my brother. Here's an iPad. I only share this because I feel like a lot of people can relate to this, right? Like guys, like money is, it can be a big stress in our life. And for my family, it was a huge stress. Just like my mom seeing the money that's coming in, it's like opening her mind. She's like, oh my God, like I never thought this was possible for our family. Cause she struggled, both immigrants struggled so hard for money. And now they're like, I see freedom in her eyes and she's laughing more, and like I came home one time to visit her and I brought her flowers and it lit her up. She was so happy. She's like, oh my God, like no one's ever, I was like, they're just flowers. She's like, oh my God, it's so amazing. and we would like, I'll take her out to dinner, and then like we'll go out to sushi, and she's like literally like, and I don't have to look at the prices. I'm like, no, buy whatever you want. She's like, are you for real? She's like, I've never had that experience of going to a restaurant and not having to look at the prices. It's amazing. It's life changing. All right, I'll shut up now.
Giving me the chills over here, man.
I know. You guys are just such good people too. Like I love the way that you're handling this all very well, because all this type of success can impact people, change them, and it doesn't seem like it's changed you guys at all. You're just deepening the things that you already cared about.
Really quick interruption here. I just want to let you know that we released a brand new free training and downloadable 30-step action plan that walks through how you can set up your own digital business. Whether that's launching your first course, creating a digital product, or scaling an online community. This will give you an in-depth overview on the steps that you need to take to turn it into a reality. Thousands of people have used this proven blueprint to start their first digital business, and the results are incredible. Whether you're a complete beginner or you've been doing this for years, I promise you will learn incredibly powerful strategies in this training. So check that out. It's free and it's linked in the description below. Other than that, back to the episode.
This call is coming at such a cool time because you guys really you're just after, which big picture, I mean, we're still talking like 2 years worth of time right now, which, is just astronomically short in the grand scheme of things. And you guys are right off of like 2 10Xs for the most part. So it's I was excited to talk to you guys today and just really get a sense of how you guys are, doing with it. And it sounds like it's just freaking epic. So I love that. I honestly forget where we were really at in the call, but
just listen to this man. Like, listen to this man. He has the roadmap. You just follow the steps. just walk down the yellow brick road.
One thing I always like to touch on in these calls is a lot of the objections that people have, that we all had when we first got into creating courses, which the biggest one that everyone asked me about is like, how do you know if you're qualified to teach? Right. And I think both of you just answered this already, but you guys, did you feel qualified when you were first starting?
I definitely did. I can speak on that really fast. Like I'm an actor, and like I was doing very, very well considering like the acting world and stuff like that. But it's like, I wasn't in the movie theaters. I'm not like in a starring role on Netflix or anything like that. Like I've done really great in the commercial space. And I just felt, I'm like, no one's going to want to listen to me. Nobody's going to like care, because everyone just wants they want to learn from like Leonardo DiCaprio. I was like, I'm not that. I definitely felt that hard.
What helped you get over it? Like, what would you say to the person getting started right now who feels like that and just needs something to at least take that first step?
If you listen to this kind of like the kind of personal development world, you'll have heard this before, but maybe if you haven't, it's like, you just have to be 1 to 2 steps ahead of someone, right? If you could just help a friend, like, hey, there's a couple of things you can do here. Like, that is enough to be able to help people on a scale, because there's so many people. We have to remember that there's so many people who are just struggling with the basics. And I sort of had to like kind of brainwash myself or remind myself that over and over again, like, you have value to give, and I just have to help people get the first job, right? I just have to help people like with the tiny things, and they're going to be super, super grateful.
Yeah, you just actually said something really, I've never thought of it like this before, but if you can help a friend, right? Let's say you have 20 friends, which, is good for a lot of us. But if you can help one of them and you were to extrapolate that means you can help 1 in 20 people probably around the globe, right? So divide 8 billion, whatever we're at, by 20. And that's truly the number of people that you could teach. And I would totally, at least when it comes to courses, bet that everyone listening to this call has one thing that they're good enough at where they could teach all of their 20 friends. That's a good way to look at it. Engage kind of like if you are, a complete beginner, or if you really would surprise yourself with how much you know. What about you, Tyler? Because I know you obviously had a long career in Hollywood. I would look at you and think Tyler probably doesn't struggle with imposter syndrome, but
I'm struggling with it right now, man. Almost daily, something hits me. And I think that's normal. Like, that's what I've been told, is just to kind of keep pushing through it. My job was always sitting behind a computer, and that's where my comfort zone is, because I'm an introvert. I mean, I wouldn't say I'm an introvert. I don't want to label myself that now, but as a kid growing up, always very to myself, had a lot of friends, but I was always quiet. And whenever I had to get up and speak in front of class, was always extremely nervous. Even when I moved out to LA to pursue my career, still just struggled with getting up in front of people and talking, public speaking. So teaching is a part of that too, is being able to teach to a group of people or even one-on-one. And it was not easy. When I started creating content on social media, it was definitely out of my comfort zone to be on camera, but it was fun. And I started bringing my visual effects stuff into it. So I was like creating cool stuff. It was making me happy. So it was like worth it to push through. And then it got into like talking. And when I started dipping my toes into coaching stuff, that was really something where it was just do it, jump in the deep end and figure it out. And what came out of that was finding out that people really, really wanted to learn what I had to share with them. Well, I'm sure that you can relate to this, but like sometimes you can just give somebody just a little gold nugget. Like Ka was saying, like you just have to be 1 or 2 steps ahead of people and you can just make their day. It gave me a passion for teaching. Yeah, it was just something that definitely did not come naturally, but it's one of those skills that can be learned, I think.
Totally agree. There are certain things in life and business that like it's really hard to teach somebody until they've experienced it, right? Like create a bunch of ads, right? You can hear that a million times until your 500th ad, adds 0 to your bank account. And it's like, I'm never going to stop creating ads. But one thing about the imposter syndrome thing that I think it's scary, but if you can put yourself out there and try to do something that makes you uncomfortable, the first ounce of success that you get will be the biggest confidence game changer you'll experience for the rest of your life. Personally, for me, I feel like my life fundamentally changed when the first 100 people bought my course, because it just opens up this like world of possibility where once you do something and you get a little bit of success, it makes you more confident to do the next thing. And it just spirals out of control where I used to fake sick to get out of presenting in school, right? And all that stuff. Like I'm with you, Tyler. I absolutely hated it. But the more you do it, I mean, you guys have been to live events, like that would have floored me, having to sit in front of a room of just like, 40 people and talk for an hour. Again, if you can push yourself out of your comfort zone and just do it, it's exciting knowing that in the early steps of your journey, one thing can happen that then helps you deal with imposter syndrome for the rest of your life. And that's worth taking that. It means taking that step now is much more worth it than waiting forever and then regretting all that growth.
Something I would say too, maybe this would help someone listening, but it's like, we're the same as you listening to this. Like if you hung out with us, you'd be like, these guys are dorks. Like we're talking about like Tyler and me in our meetings, we're talking about random stuff. We're like, we're making mistakes left and right. We're like, oh, I didn't notice that. I sent the wrong email. I made a misquote there. And like me and Anthony, before this call, we were just like nerding over like Skyrim, the video game, Yeah. We're just like, we're exactly like you, Yeah. I think that sometimes we feel that like someone like people who find success, just like, are there something special about them? I don't know about you guys, but I just don't feel like there's anything special about me. We just sort of found a path and then just sort of like followed the directions. And you don't need to be anything special. You just have to sort of like do the things that are proven to work, right?
I freaking love that. So like, what would you guys say is next as far as, I mean, your partnership is 6 months old, which is crazy. But like, where's your next 10X coming from? Like, what are you guys doing differently now in business? Or how are you approaching it differently?
Why don't you go, Tyler? I talked way too long.
Give me the mic. Like, let me talk.
I just ranted for like 30 minutes. I'm like, all right.
Yeah, it's crazy because you think that you have things planned out, and then this type of stuff opens your mind. It opens up more opportunities, which makes it almost more confusing on what's next. But I'm going back through the courses, and because some of that like imperfect action definitely shined through. And so I'm really going back through and making sure that all those frequently asked questions are being answered throughout the course. And then like Cod even helped me like go through and find some holes, because also something that we didn't mention was going through this process. Of the pre-launch, I figured out that the course, my audience that I was reaching, it ended up being something completely different that has now opened up something else, because I'm like, oh, I'm going to make this VFX course for creators and they're going to love it and they're going to make cool videos. And what happened was we start running ads, and it's business owners that are coming in that want to make better content for their business, so that, which will in turn make them money. So it turned into a whole different thing. So it's like, there's a need for that. So through the pre-launch, I was able to actually find the market fit. Is that what you call it?
Product market fit, your avatar.
So in that, like figuring out like what does that audience need next? What we're working on is the course, and then going to get a nice strategy going for social media. So I want to get my Instagram flowing again. I've been kind of putting that to the side a little bit. And then we want to do YouTube and coaching. We're trying to figure out the order of operations, but what we're really trying to do is work on the business a lot more than in the business. So we're currently, like he said, we sent out a survey, just kind of seeing like if anybody was interested in becoming part of the team and just starting to build out those teams. So that's going to be huge. It's something that we're both new to.
Nothing you guys won't be able to handle, I'm sure, at this point in the journey. So you have your existing courses that you guys are going through. As far as like, something I think a lot of people want to know about courses is like, obviously we tout the passive element of it, but then you look at somebody like me and I'm working a lot, which contradicts the whole passive nature of it. But how would you guys say where you're at now, the time allocation is? Like, I don't want to answer the question for you by any means, but like how much of your life is like making sure that the existing business is running versus thinking down the road and trying to build, the next level of the business?
I'll speak on that a little bit. And this kind of ties into something we were talking about earlier. And I believe like the power of why ads are so awesome, right? Because we're all like a huge fan of ads. It's like, I think because we were able to sort of crack the ad code, right? That just created this like flow of profit quickly to our business. Something that like with organic, it would take a long time, right? You got to build the audience, you got to, be consistent, stuff like that. And because of that, it sort of like gave us the leeway to hire, right? So we have like a full-time VA that is honestly running a lot of the business, dealing with the customers and emails and things like that. And then kind of like for the earlier question, like expanding the team, that's like something that like now most of my focus is just like, how do we build the business? I'm not like working in the business, I'm like writing ads here and there and things like that. But it's like, I get to focus on, okay, what's the next step? How do we like hire our next team member? Because we have the profits from the ads, right? Do we just hire someone to like kind of manage the, help us create the YouTube, right? But to answer your direct question, I feel like it is amazing because it's like most of the time is just, at least for me, for where I am right now, in regards with the business, is like focusing on the next step, which is exciting. It's fun. It's like, I'm like thinking big and like planning out like, okay, what if we did this? And what if we hired this person? As opposed to like, it doesn't feel like a job where you're doing the same thing over and over again. It gets monotonous and it's like, it gets boring. It never feels like that. And I'll just say like small thing, like not having to wake up, not having to put an alarm. I haven't had an alarm clock in like weeks, just waking up when I want to wake up. Because I'm just, you do the work when you want to do the work. There's no boss you have to report to. We're the bosses. It's amazing.
Yeah, you're choosing to work. You're not being forced to work. I'm curious, Tyler, like, what do you think about that? You've throughout the different stages of growth you've been in. Obviously, when you start a business, you have no choice. You have to work a lot. It's gonna be like that. But how's your experience been?
My mindset is, how can I get everything to a place where I could walk away from the business for 2 weeks and turn my phone off and have it still profiting? We've gotten it pretty close to that because since Cott's there, like technically like I could go on a 2-week vacation and it could keep flowing without me or vice versa. Maybe the goal would be to get it to the point where it could run without both of us. And there is definitely, like when I was first building this and I was getting some success with the course, I was telling people about it and they were still laughing like, well, it's not passive income. There's no such thing as passive income. Yes and no, because technically like we're making money while we're on this call. That's passive. We're making money while we're sleeping, but the work still has to be done. Yeah.
But like we were making a lot of money during Christmas. Like I was just playing video games with my brother and I would just check the ad account. I'm like, oh, there's like, thousands of more dollars in the business.
Yeah, we were expecting a big dip after Black Friday and it was just like, just like
That, what a great surprise. Yeah. Once Black Friday's over, because then you have New Year's and but like Christmas Day, sometimes it's like people are in a buying mood on Christmas Day. But if you're selling worldwide, to locations in the world where people don't celebrate Christmas. It's not going to impact you there. And Facebook is just the AI is going to shift your budget to those countries and audiences. So it really is crazy. People keep saying like Facebook ads are harder and the algorithm's changing. And I always just kind of laugh at that because like, yeah, things change small degrees over time. But I personally think running ads has gotten easier because it's just more focused on creativity now than technicality, which it used to be. And I do think creativity wins.
And we have so many tools now. We have like AI tools and automation tools that literally make an ads like pretty insanely easy. And
people prefer content shot on phones nowadays. Like we used to shoot all of our best ads were shot on more expensive cameras. And nowadays it's like, flip the phone into selfie mode or just use the back camera. And those ads are absolutely crushing it. And we sell content creation courses. So it's like everyone, you would think that we could only use professional cameras, but people love the iPhone stuff. And I think any other niche outside of teaching people how to shoot epic videos, you should just be using a phone like 90% of the time.
That's all we're doing now. Every ad, I'm just literally like
that.
Yeah, it's just me holding the phone. But what's cool is I can do a live edit inside of the CapCut app where you hit record. And if you don't like that take, you just hit back and then you hit record again and it already has cut them together.
Where we're at right now as a society is the age of authenticity. People just appreciate real human beings being real. And I think in ads, it's done us all a great favor. It used to take us, a full day, and we're good at what we do to shoot and edit an ad. But now it's like, we, script it in 20 minutes, shoot it on the phone. A lot of times it's a half hour and then you throw a simple edit on it. And it's like, that could be $1 million ad. You don't know. So you might as well just make 20 of them.
I think our ad probably I don't know the exact numbers, probably did like $750,000 a single ad. And it was just Tyler holding the phone and talking to the phone. That's it. It was just like in his house.
I love it. No, I think that's freaking crazy. Now, for people who aren't 100% aware of what the current business model looks like right now, why don't you walk us through what the current business looks like as it is now and how you started? What product was it?
So when I first started and pre-launched, it was the Viral VFX course. Price point was $97. It took me way too long. Once again, did not take Anthony's advice soon enough. Really, I was just overthinking it, but to get an order bump in place. So that came next, the order bump, and started that at like a $19 price point, and then tested bumping that up before actually creating the upsell, which the upsell is the monetization course. Yeah. So right now we have the front end course and then the order bump, and then the upsell. And for a while we tested a downsell. Cott actually noticed that it seemed to be causing more friction or more problems than it actually was helping us. So we removed that. And all it was a payment plan for the upsell. But it seemed like it was hindering the experience of the students. So they were coming in more likely to say, oh, this is, should give me a refund or whatever the case was. So it was just the customer journey is super important. And that's why I'm going back through everything. And we're just always trying to pay attention to their experience.
That's what keeps you in the business for like a really long time too. I've found, it's like, as you guys are experiencing, it would probably be pretty easy to run this business for another year and then just be like, all right, I'm done. But if you are the type of person that really cares about your product, cares about your customer experience, I've seen a lot of course creators, even well before my time, the ones that are still doing it versus the ones that quit. And quitting's not a bad thing. Some people just, they hit whatever financial goal they had and then they dip out. But I do think if you can just care about it, enough, there's no limit to how long you can stay in the game for, which is great.
I feel like has been one of our keys. And I know like that's been something that helped me so much just in marketing. The idea of stepping out of your own shoes and stepping into the world of someone else, right? Which I believe is the key to marketing. How do you look at the world through the eyes of the person you're trying to help or serve and see what's important to them and what's not important to them, what's painful to them, what they want. And I think that has been that's been super key for us, right? Like for Tyler, you were obsessed with that when looking at the student journey. You're like, okay, I want to make this better. I want to make the course better. I want to make the videos better. I want to, make their experience better. And for me, I've been sort of obsessed, like, okay, I want to really speak to what they care about. I'm like, when I'm writing an ad, I'm like, or a content or whatever, I'm like, do they care about that thing that I said? Or is that me caring about it? and I care about it, but do they care about it? And, or like, do they actually want, is that something that they struggle with, or is that something I struggle with? Am I just projecting onto them? And that I felt like the more that we would like step out of our world and step into their world, other people's world, that just the more successful we'd make, the more money we'd make.
Dude, you're literally preaching my like that's the Bible to me, is like what you just said right there. I think is the key to marketing. A lot of people who make courses are educated, and they're really educated about the topic that they're teaching. And sometimes that can be the biggest obstacle in your path, because you know it so well that you forget what it's like to not know it. It's an easy thing once you recognize it, but it's like, just get out of the way. Pretend you're talking to somebody who's never opened up an editing program before, never, learned to paint, never touched a piano, whatever it may be. And your marketing will just explode by being simpler.
I feel like Tyler could speak to that, right? Because like when you started the course, you could speak to that about speaking to your own level versus your beginners. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Because that's another thing, is when I built the course, I'm like, oh, I'm going to be teaching all these crazy visual effects, and like I'll be making the course harder and harder. But it actually went the opposite way, to where I actually was finding these business owners or whoever comes in, and they're like, wait, what's CapCut? Or what's this? And they've like zero knowledge. So I was able to find a way to like create these step-by-step guides and all of this stuff. And I found myself, because I feel like you said that like that's a kind of a bad superpower to have. Also, like the empathy thing, I care a little bit too much. So I feel like I've spent a lot of time adhering to just one person that complains about something and trying to like fix stuff based on that. Yeah, it kind of went in the opposite direction, where I'm like, oh, I actually need to turn this into a super beginner's course. So then actually, that reminds me, when I first launched, I launched one course, and then through what I'm talking about, I actually figured out that it was more beneficial to kind of split it up and create a bundle out of it, so that one of the courses was like, hey, if you've never started at all, start in this little boot camp that I've created. It really like just kind of separated the processes into like different steps.
And that's another thing I think beginners really need to hear. Course creator beginners, right? You're just gearing up to launch your first product. The thing that you think you need to sell is probably 10 times bigger than it really needs to be. I think everyone always overestimates what they need to put into a course, which is a good thing. You're trying to, again, provide value for people, but you can end up making a worse product because it really does overwhelm people. And so for me, if I were getting started, it would be motivating to hear like, you can make a small product. Like the average course right now, at least that we're seeing, V1 of a course that's successful is between like 10 to 25 videos, right? And those videos can be 5 to 10 minutes long. So you're making, an hour worth of content in total, maybe, a couple hours. And that's the type of thing that launches people like Cotton Tyler on multi-million-dollar per year businesses.
And I would also add something to that, is like, I think for all of us, we have had the experience where the thing we launched, it wasn't perfect. Right? Like it doesn't have to be perfect at first, because you're going to sort of figure out as you go. I use the analogy, I think it's a bad analogy because someone pointed out, but it's like you can build the plane as you fly. You get what I'm saying though?
Dude, I've used that analogy all the time. Yeah.
Maybe I got it from you.
I think that's a Paul 101 quote. It's like jump and build the plane in flight. Otherwise you'll never fly.
But it's so true. It's so true, right? It's like we don't need it. We all like get stuck in like perfectionism. We all do. We want to deliver value, right? But it's like, it doesn't have to be perfect, because you're going to sort of figure out as you go. As you sort of like sell your thing, like you're going to find out like, oh, they care about this, and I'm going to make a little bit more of that or a little less of this. And it's super, people will help you.
Yeah, you get close to perfection through working with your V1, your early customers. Like they're the early adopters of Apple. They get in early, but they also get all the value of being the early people in your course. And they get to have the input on where your course goes, which truly is perfection in the eyes of the customer, right? Rather than just guessing and hoping you find it.
I still haven't made the course that I planned on making. I mean, I'm like an After Effects artist, and I haven't taught any After Effects yet. And I'm like, oh my gosh, because there's just so much before that people need, and that's what it's all about, is what they need. So I still have plans for that, but it's like on the back burner.
Dude, and that just goes to show how you could not know how to teach what your $1 million course is about, but you have the ability to go out and spend a lot of time learning it and then make another person's journey faster, right? Because all the info is out there nowadays. You might not know how to, balance a checking book, but if you learned how to do it really well and you made it efficient and then put it into a product and you charged a little bit of money for it, that's great. It might not make you a millionaire, but now you might have this entire ecosystem of financial products you could create off the back end of just one product you can scale with ads. And that's, I think, really the $1 million cheat code nowadays is like, you don't need one course to make you millions of dollars of profit per year. You just need one product you can scale with ads. And then once you get a customer, they're with you for life. Anything you launch, any new product, any other, affiliates you create, like they'll support you. And that's where a ton of profit can come. And those new products don't need to be as beautifully well thought out product market fit wise, because the people already trust you. Once you have customers who trust you, they're way more likely to purchase again in the future.
That was something that was hard for me to grasp too, that I like now it doesn't matter, but I wish I could have kind of figured that out earlier, was that first product, it's okay if it's just breaking even, because that's not really meant to scale your business. Like that's just meant to find your audience, find your viewers, whatever. But then everything that you build on the back end, that's where the profits come in and stuff like that. So that's really, it's more of just almost like a lead generator.
Yeah. It's a way to get high quality leads into your business and obviously make money from it. But at the same time, yeah, like you add one upsell into a low ticket product and all of a sudden the game is completely changed for all these reasons about advertising and funnels that would, take a while to explain. But if you can increase your average order value by $10, usually it'll allow you to like 2 to 5x your profit at the end of the day. If you guys were to talk to somebody just getting started today, right? This call has probably been pretty motivating to them. Like I'd be freaking pumped to hear your guys' story. What would you say are the 3 things they should focus on getting started, right? Let's say they have a passion that they care about and they want to get into the course world, but what are the 3 things you wish you focused on earlier?
What was super helpful, and it took a while also to kind of grasp, was the massive imperfect action. So obviously, like, you have to just go in there and just try. It's just like anything else. Like if you see that this is a possibility, then it is a possibility. Like if you already are a believer, just really trying to separate the perfectionism and just start building something, and really like focusing on that 80-20 of getting something in there, getting a person in there who can just give you feedback, even if it's a friend, family member, and you just like build from right there.
I got my first one. I would say the first thing to do, in my opinion, is to make the decision that you're going to build that life for yourself, right? I think there's power in a decision. Because I think what like stops, just from what I've noticed, what stops a lot of people is like they sort of want it, they kind of want it, but they never like really decided, which doesn't really give them the fuel and the commitment to like find the right course, right? To like buy your product, right? Like literally like step 2 would be buy 30-day course creator, because it's like, and I'm not making any money off of that, but me saying that, okay, by the way, I get nothing, but like buy it, right? So you get the roadmap. But before you do that, you have to decide for yourself, like I want this life. I want to do this. And there is sort of like magic happens when you make a decision. This is a little bit woo-woo, but I believe there is like truth to this. It affects your brain too. It's like when you make a decision, you're going to do something, all of a sudden you're going to start seeing the solutions. You don't even need to know how to do it. Anthony will teach you how. The answers will come to you, right? Because you've decided, and now you're going to see it. They give this example, like if you ever like bought a new car, like you bought a new bike or something like that, like you never notice the car out in the world, but as soon as you start shopping for it, you see the car everywhere. You're like, oh, there's that car there. There's the car there. Oh, there's that car there. It was always there, but you just weren't able to see it until you made the decision, okay, I'm going to buy the car. And it's the same here. Like I believe it's magic, and it's that simple. Like when you decide, like if you jumped off this video and you're like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to build passive income. I'm going to build a course, and I'm going to be a millionaire. When you decide it, it will happen. You've set off the kind of the butterfly effect that it's going to happen in your life.
Now give me a tactical one, because those are, I mean, you guys know me. I think mindset is the most important thing that anybody could work on to, achieve success goals and all that stuff. But if you were to say, if each of you were to give like a quick technical thing, truly about like build your funnel first, or like make sure that you focus on, your hooks when it comes to creating your content, create a small course first. Like, what would you say is like a technical thing or a tactical strategy that it would help a beginner get traction quick?
I have a different outlook on it than I did when I came in, because when I first started building the course, I had big ambitions. Like I said, I'm like, oh, I'm going to make this cool VFX course and it's going to be the best thing. And that's not necessarily the right approach, because I still haven't built that. But I would say create the smallest product that you possibly can that can be valuable, and start there. Just a digital product that has a purpose, and it's just a blueprint for somebody to walk through, something that you enjoy also.
Dude, yeah, that honestly, that would be one of my biggest ones as well, to echo. It's just like, you got a lot of stuff to learn. They're all extremely valuable skills. And if you just make something small, but you go through each stage of the process, so to speak, you'll learn it all. Like, you will learn so much more. And if you just do a small thing, you'll learn it 10 times faster than if you spend, 2 years building this big thing where you don't actually get to focus on the game changing elements like marketing and sales until 90 days into the journey. So,
and I guess one way to think about that is if you have a vision for a course, just think more like on a module basis. Like, what 1 or 2 modules can I create a mini course out of, and just make like a little mini course maybe?
Yeah, for sure. I'm really happy that we just kind of like stumbled into that, like make a small entry level course. But now seeing it through, most people who are successful nowadays, especially the people with people like us that didn't really have big audiences, we weren't like the Gordon Ramsays of cooking when it comes to like certain topics. I do think the small course is just the easiest gateway drug into the world of courses.
Right, because you'll see it's not that scary. You're like, oh, it's actually not that difficult, right?
Yeah. Oh my God. Like making a course video or an ad, it's like, yeah, we're just baking muffins out here. We're not making cakes.
It gets you to that first breakthrough, because once somebody buys it, then you see the possibilities. So the quicker you can get to that step where somebody gives you money for something that you built from scratch, that is just a total game changer right there. And it'll open your eyes to start seeing possibilities, and then it just grows from there.
Did you have anything else you wanted to add, Caught, from maybe on your side, like the marketing, since that's mainly what you're doing?
Yeah, I would say like challenge yourself to like get more comfortable on camera. Challenge yourself, like every day I'm going to post a story of me actually talking to the camera, because that is such an invaluable skill that'll just serve you in this business, but really just in the direction the world is going, right? Because I feel like for a lot of us, it is that like it's the confidence, right? Like some of us just like lack the confidence, and we need to prove to our body that we can do it. And so like, yeah, like let's make the course, but even if like you find resistance there, then maybe just start talking to the camera more to build that confidence. Because once you're confident there, you can make ads, you can make social media content that can sell the mini course that you build. I think those two things together would work really, really well.
Dude, yeah, killer. I mean, talk about a valuable skill no matter what you're doing nowadays, but it's so valuable for courses, and it can be learned. I'll see if the editors will cut in an early clip of Anthony on camera, but it is terrible. Camera gear, multiple outline, new models are coming out. Blah, blah, come on. And that dude was able to sell courses, and it definitely improves over time.
I think it's super important to like try to cut out the noise too, because there's going to be a lot of people, not that are haters, but even sometimes the people that are most close to you, that they don't have the same vision. As an entrepreneur, which I guess I am, I always laughed at that idea.
It's finally hit you that you are.
I guess it's hitting me because I just now have all these dreams and aspirations to build, but to not listen to the people who are going to not believe in your dream and find people who do, whether that's a friend or you have to meet them on the internet or get involved in some type of a group with them. I think that's super powerful, because going through this, that's where that comes from me. So because we end up kind of lonely in this journey sometimes.
Find your tribe, dude. I totally agree. Yeah, I would say that throughout even my journey, loneliness, I've lived with Courtney this entire time. Like I don't know how I would have done it without her, but the journey of an entrepreneur is a lonely one because most people don't think that way or they're not in that zone. You know, I'm so thankful that I met Paul, obviously. You know, he played a huge role in me becoming the person that I am. But if you can go out of your way to find a tribe, even if it's like a WhatsApp group, a Facebook community, you only need like 4 or 5 people. You only need 2 people that are doing the same thing that you are. And it will make you 10 times more successful over the course of 5 years, like without a doubt.
That's how me and Tyler found each other. We were just tribe members in the group, sort of building our own thing. And then we because we kept showing up. Maybe that's another tip right there. Just like show up for the work when you don't feel like it, when you're tired, all that stuff, right? Just the minimum, just show up. I think because we just showed up, we saw that we're like, oh, maybe like we trusted each other, right? And I think we built trust with ourselves because we kept showing up.
Yeah. And that brings me to one more thing that I know people, especially with your story, want to hear just at least a little bit about is like the partnership. Like, you know, did you guys hire like big name lawyers? What does the deal look like? Did it evolve over time? Will it continue evolving? I think the first question would just be like, you know, Tyler, you mentioned it earlier, but how did you even start looking for partners? What were the steps that you took?
As a dad and having all this stuff going on in my life, I was very busy, but I had all of these goals and these things that I wanted to build with the course and everything. So I was always telling my wife, man, I wish I had another me just to kind of like share that brain power that I'm trying to juggle all these things. And it's funny because I know that everything happens when it's supposed to happen for a reason too. But it wasn't until I actually put that information out there in a group that I was in and started speaking about, like, who would have thought, ask for what you want and put it out there. Apparently, which I didn't know, Cott kind of had the same idea in his mind of working with a business partner would take him to the next level, or at least like create this foundation of this thing that we could build. And so that's how it started. And we both were just kind of like, I mean, maybe let's just talk about it, you know. And we were both very like tiptoeing into it. And then we decided, let's just test it out for like 2-3 months. And so we decided to do that. We came up with like a quick little agreement. 45 days later, like we just were like, let's just pull the trigger, and we became full-time partners.
Pretty easy decision, I imagine.
Oh, I don't know. Should we do this?
It was. And it was so nice to feel like somebody was on the same page with me too. We agree with a lot of stuff. Like we definitely complement each other in different ways, which is super helpful. But then we also like both are able to really just focus on the bigger picture. Cott revisited the 30-day course creator thing and found out that there was a whole thing about how to make partnerships and the whole agreement that Paul walked through. And it was just like, oh, just lifted a weight off, like of something that we don't have to go hire a lawyer and do because you guys created that for us.
That was a really big part for us in making 30-day course creator, was really designing it from the perspective of people wanting to learn the skill to partner with other people. Because I've probably told you a bunch of times, like if I were to start over today, I would probably just go out and partner with somebody who really wants to be the face of a course company and help them scale it to the moon, because the skill set of marketing and sales and funnel building and website building and content creation, all the things that you learn in the pursuit of being a course creator are so freaking valuable. Any business, not just any course creator, but like any business in the world would be lucky to have somebody with that skill. Because ironically, you know, marketing and sales are degrees you can get in college, but they do not teach you the boots on the ground methods that actually scale businesses. They're teaching you textbook models back before Facebook ads existed. You know, they're teaching newspaper marketing and like radio ads, and not all schools on planet Earth do that. But you know, people watching this, there are probably some people like Tyler, but there are probably a lot of people like, oh, I would just want to get into this field, but I don't know what to teach. And so like, Cott, if you wanted to shed some light on like what made you valuable, what were the skills that you learned that made you valuable to somebody like Tyler?
I think that's a really important point, right? It's like the skill of marketing, which is so valuable, or creating content, right? I think that's something that helped me on my journey, was that like when I made my first course, no matter how things were going, I knew that it was win-win-win, because even if like, you know, a month wasn't super profitable or whatever, because I was new, I was learning, I was developing one of the most valuable skills nowadays, which is marketing on the internet. How do you market on the internet? Ads or social media, same thing. You know, if there's any like beginners out there, like, oh, you're thinking about what to do, or like, will it really succeed? But like, if you start doing it, your thing might take off. Like Tyler's thing took off right away. Like it was awesome. And you're making 30 and then 50K like in a month, right? But even if it doesn't, like in my case, it took a while to actually start seeing some profit. But you're developing that skill anyway. So very passionate about that. You know, it's like it's a win-win no matter what. So jump in. If it's something that resonates with you, jump in, I say. Sorry, what was the original question?
I love it though. Like, what would you say were the skills that you had? And Tyler, you can answer this too. Like, you know, what were you like, oh, Kaut's good at this. And so for somebody listening to this call, if you learn this, now you're immediately valuable to somebody like Tyler or any business really.
It's just so not sexy. I'm like, should I even say, but it's like copywriting was like really, really, I just feel like it's such a not sexy topic, but it's like, I'm like so passionate that like we should learn copywriting because it's so valuable. And essentially copywriting is like, it's like the language you use to influence someone, right? To influence someone to action. Going through my course, starting just my own course and going through marketing, I really had to learn how to copywrite. How do I write in a way or speak in a way that influences people to action? It's like, how do you get out of your own head and get into someone else's, step into someone else's world? I think that was the skill that allowed me to be valuable to the business, to write ads, to make the sales pages, it all comes down to like, can you step into someone else's world, which I believe is what marketing is. So
what's crazy about marketing too, because it's another one of those terms that I used to just like shy away from, like, oh, you're a marketer, blah, blah, blah. I just thought of like advertising, I did not understand it at all. Like a year and a half ago, I was a completely different person. There's levels to it, right? So there's like beginner stuff, marketing, but as you start getting used to it and you want to learn more and you start reading books about marketing, there's different levels, and it's crazy because then you start learning also life skills and how to understand people and how to communicate and about psychology and all of like behavioral stuff. And then all these things from your past start clicking, like, oh my gosh, now I realize that was like that because of this. And Kaut put in a lot of reps through building his course. And so he has built those muscles of copywriting. And I think that for someone like him and someone like me who's also passionate about learning, it's just a muscle that you continue to develop. And that's where he is one of the ways that he was really shining, and like right from the start. And he had already kind of put that in. So he showed the determination. He showed, that he's not afraid to jump in and just get his hands dirty, but then also that he's not necessarily needing those immediate results. He's going to work for it, which is also super important for all of us. Like, we have to be able to just see the end goal and just keep going for it. But he's super good at copywriting, and he's just a good dude. Like, I could just tell just from being in the group with him. And no, but it's like, I was always told in the industry, because I worked in Hollywood with my job, and I was always told that like people are not going to hire you based on your resume. They're going to hire you because you're easy to work with. So personality is a huge part of it, but also like obviously you need skills in this stuff too. So he's just a full package right there.
Oh, thank you, man. I appreciate it.
I can vouch as well. Kaut is a good dude.
You guys are so awesome.
The last thing I would say, are you willing to share, like, what was the original agreement when you were like, let's just do this for 45 days? What was kind of the thing that made you both comfortable to say, I'm willing to put 45 days of my life into this? Okay,
first, I'll say first thing, like people are ever thinking about partnerships, something that worked well for us, I think, is like we started off like, do we even have the same end vision, the big vision? That was our first conversation. We're like, we don't want to get into this thing if we're not even seeing this thing going in the same direction. And so we talked about that. And what was important to us were like, or I think what I came into the meeting, I was like, look, I want to build it big. build it as fast as possible. And then I want to sort of pull ourselves out so we're not in the weeds of the business. We're driving the business, but we're not stuck in the weeds. Because for me, that was super important. Like if I was going to like partner with somebody and they were expecting me like 3 years in to be grinding, 18 hours a day, that wasn't what I was looking to build, right? And so I shared that with him. And then luckily, like he agreed. He's like, nope, totally. We're on the same page. And so I think the alignment in the bigger vision was super, super critical for us to even consider talking about it. I sort of remember this, right? Because like when we talked about like becoming partners, and you can speak to this too. I actually don't know your point of view on this, but I was like, I saw it as a great opportunity. I'm like, yeah, if we could make this work, I believe that we could do what we did now. I believe we could crush it, right? In my head, I was like, how do I make this? Because I really wanted to try it out. So I'm like, how do I make this just as a win-win for Tyler so there's just no risk, right? And so we were talking about it. And, Tyler's in a different situation than I am. He has kids, he has a family, he has a mortgage, things like that. I don't. Like I was living in a studio apartment. It wasn't that big a deal, right? Well, it's like you had your minimum. You're like, hey, dude, I need to make this much money in order to just literally feed my kids, right? And it was like 10K. I need to make 10K a month in order to feed my kids. I'm like, all right, cool. So like I wanted to make this a win-win. So what I suggested was that, all right, for the first 3 months, we're going to cap off my profit at like 3K. Only after you've made 10K. So like, I want to just make sure that your thing is like set. And I think that was like really important for both of us. Like we just I didn't want to feel like, I wanted to make sure that your family was taken care of, but at the same time, like I just wanted to feel like a win-win. I think we both agreed. We're like, this needs to be a win-win for all parties. And so that was the agreement that we came on for the first 3 months, and then obviously, it took off.
It worked out. I love that. Yeah, you work through, what's worst case scenario, what's best case scenario, and neither of you were trying to exploit the other person, which is obviously really important in partnerships and stuff. And
I was super grateful that he was able to be flexible in that sense too, and that because he did share with me, and I appreciated the transparency of like him making it clear that he did not want to be an employee. He wanted to build a business. I'm like, I had to like think about it and make sure it was the right decision. And I'm like, yeah, that's fine. Like I want to build this with somebody. I think that it could be super powerful. And I've just seen what you and Paul have done. Super grateful. I don't know if I ever really told him that, but that he was flexible like that in the front end. And, I think that because he also said like that he could see the vision, that he could see like what we were going to do. So that was super important. And we were also coming up to Black Friday, and the conversations were like, yeah, I don't really care what we make right now. Like we're going to get everything prepped and we're just going to crush it on Black Friday. And the agreement that we ended up coming up to was like, it started off at like 3K for him, and then we went up to 5, but we had agreed that we're going to do everything we can so that when we get to Black Friday month, we will be at a 50-50 split at that point. So everything that we were doing up until that point was to meet that goal, which we, made clear and we both had agreed upon, and which was also a way of me making it a win-win for him because he had something like to really look forward to. And
if I were to go through your guys' path, I would have tried to do the same thing. I think, that's incredible. I mean, honestly, incredible that you guys did that like so fast. You guys just fell into the role of being, partners and married in a sense from the business perspective. And it worked out, which is just proof, the proof is in the pudding, how freaking epic the universe is for throwing the two of you at each other. And I know I'm excited to revisit this and see where you guys are at. Like even 6 months from now, it's crazy to think of that, but like that's like double the this partnership has had to be alive. Yeah. And I'm so freaking stoked for you guys. And I don't know any people who deserve it more than the two of you. So,
and thank you for being an inspiration for us. Like you and Paul, we would talk about it all the time. We're like, 1 + 1 does not equal 2, because we learned from you guys, just seeing you and Paul. We're like 1 + 1 = 5. 1 + 1 can equal 10. So we learned that from you guys. So thank you, man.
Well, I'm happy with how it's all worked out for all of us. And that's a great spot to end this call on. So we'll end it there. Thank you guys for being a guest on the podcast. And there we go. Let's get
I'll get my camera phones up.
Yeah. All right, ready? Let's everyone give a thumbs up or whatever.
Thumbs up. Okay.